everyone, it's Speak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you and going to talk about Fantastic Four First Steps once more and do some box office reporting within the opening weekend of its release and whether it signals the first step indeed back to more prolific and prominent times for Marvel. Now this may contain spoilers for the movie itself and also for other films and series within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so just beware when going to this overall video. You can also check out both my non-spoiler and spoiler reviews of the film, and I'll leave some links within the description. So we look at the weekend then, which covered Friday the 25th to Monday the 28th of July 2025. And the first numbers of the movie, and within US cinemas, it reached the #1 spot with a weekend gross of around $118 to $122 million, dethroning the previous champ, which was James Gunn's Superman, which held the top spot previously for the last 2 weeks. In terms of international numbers, Fantastic Four took in just over 100 million to give the movie a total global gross of just over $220 million. So in terms of first steps then, I would say overall in terms of this weekend, it was a solid, if not slightly less than expected opening. When we saw the initial figures of it taking around $57 million on Friday within the US, it did seem like it was going to hit the weekend of around $130 to $140 million, but overall it just fell short. And I think overall it's still good news. On the plus side, it represents the biggest opening of the 3 MCU entries this year, much more than the 88 million that we saw from Captain America Brave New World and the 75 million that we saw for Thunderbolts. It's also been the most well-received MCU film, both terms of fan and critical reception, so again that's a very good sign for its long-term prospects. So after all that, is the MCU fully back to its glory days? Well, the quick and easy answer to that question is no. It's going to take a lot more than a sound financial success, which is what we got with this film, and we've noted many times on this channel the continued struggles within the MCU post-Endgame, and whilst you can always eventually have a Deadpool and Wolverine or a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 turning out to be a massive hit, there just isn't the same momentum and hype levels that what we saw within phases 1 to 3. And whilst I liked the film, I don't think First Steps is the movie to generate that same amount of hype. It is of course going to end up being the highest grossing Fantastic Four film ever by some distance. And Fantastic Four as a property, whilst well known within comic book fandom, has never been a big Marvel entity in the same presence as what we've seen with the likes of X-Men, Spider-Man or Incredible Hulk. They're just not as dynamically appealing to mainstream audiences. If we do get eventual Fantastic Four sequels, it would be nice to see different villains used within their mythology, rather than the usual Silver Surfer and Galactus and Doctor Doom. I did feel that Mole Man could have possibly been a potential antagonist for any sequel, but they really wasted him in the movie itself, making him just a one-note joke and cameo appearance. So we then look at this overall and wonder how much exactly will First Steps end with. Well, if it has a good strong second weekend and the word of mouth continues in terms of the good reviews, I could probably see this ending up with a gross of around between $500 to $600 million. Now we can look back even further and say that one of the biggest hits, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, also had similar opening numbers to Fantastic Four, and that film went on to gross over $845 million worldwide. Now, I don't think Fantastic Four will get anywhere near those numbers because Guardians at that stage was a proven commercial franchise, and it was also the concluding part of the trilogy. That movie itself was marketed heavily on Rocket Raccoon, who will always appeal to young kids, and Fantastic Four just didn't have that same character as an entry point for indeed the younger audiences. But overall, I think it will end up being a good showing and definitely the highest grossing Marvel movie this year. It just won't be that truly massive cultural sensation to really get the MCU back up and running before we enter Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So we will quickly mention James Gunn's Superman, which hit its own milestone, crossing over $500 million worldwide. It will shortly hit over $300 million within US markets, topping Man of Steel, but it's still up in the air as to whether this will match or even surpass Man of Steel's global tally of around $670 million. At this point, I still feel it will come up short, which will again further intensify the debates between the Snyder fans and the Gunn devotees online. And following that debate, we are, of course, getting the continued comparison between both Superman and Fantastic Four. Various questions as to which is the superior film. That would be Fantastic Four, in my opinion. And which one will go on to be the biggest and most successful superhero entry within 2025. Well, we really won't know this until we see the second weekend totals for Fantastic Four. But with Superman slowing down and not getting the great domestic numbers, I do think Fantastic Four will probably edge it out, but it will be very close overall. Despite what I think, it is good to have much more positive vibes and reactions to superhero movies, proving that maybe there is a bit more life within the genre in this later declining phase. So those are my thoughts and feelings.
Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four steps. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics with the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover with the channel, then also let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary
What do you mean? What do I mean? You're late
on
for
that
dinner.
subject matter
Yes, we are.
within
You late?
the future.
I just said that.
Please also hit like
Are
the
you pregnant?
subscription and notification button so I can provide you more high
You're gonna
quality
be the
content
best mom
like this
in
in
the
the future.
world, and you are
But
gonna
that's
be
it
the
for
best
now.
dad. Just
Take
kidding.
care of
You are
yourselves,
out of your depth.
and I will
We
see you
are gonna be the
very,
best
very
uncles
soon.
ever.